The morning felt calm when Keanu stepped out of his apartment. The sky was soft and pale, and the air carried a quiet peace that he rarely experienced. Even with the silence around him, something inside felt slightly unusual, almost like a slow whisper telling him that this day would not follow its normal path. He could not explain why. It was not fear and not excitement. It was something in between, something unspoken. He had a simple plan that morning. He was supposed to attend a small private meeting at a community center far from the noise of the city. It was the kind of place he visited when he wanted to stay grounded and connected to real people who worked hard to inspire others. He enjoyed these moments. They reminded him that life was not about fame or cameras. It was about compassion and quiet acts of kindness. He liked staying humble and present. As his car began moving through the streets, he leaned back and tried to collect his thoughts. The past few weeks had been full of travel, interviews, and responsibilities that never seemed to end. This meeting felt like a welcome break. But as the car turned into a narrow lane, the navigation suddenly malfunctioned. The screen flickered for a moment and redirected them to a different route entirely. The driver frowned softly and tried to correct it, but the system kept pulling them toward the same unfamiliar road. Keanu noticed the confusion, but he did not complain. He simply said in a gentle voice, "Please just follow it. Maybe it will sort itself out." There was no frustration in his tone, only calm acceptance. They drove deeper into a quiet part of the city that felt older than the rest. The buildings were small with wide windows and hand-painted signs. The sidewalks looked peaceful, almost untouched by the rush of everyday life. People walked slowly. Shop owners sat outside their doors drinking tea. Everything felt slower here, softer, and strangely comforting. Then the car came to an unexpected stop. A slow-moving delivery truck blocked the entire street and did not seem ready to move anytime soon. The driver sighed and looked at Keanu for instructions. Keanu smiled kindly and said, "It is all right. I will walk for a bit. Call me when the road clears." The driver nodded with relief. Keanu stepped out onto the sidewalk, and the first thing he felt was a wave of gentle warmth from the sun. He took a slow breath and looked around. This place felt unfamiliar yet calm in a way that encouraged him to keep walking. He moved quietly, hands in his pockets, absorbing the soft sound of people talking in the distance and birds resting on long telephone wires. After a few minutes, he noticed a small art gallery tucked between a bakery and a flower shop. The entrance was simple. The door was made of clear glass, and the sign above it was painted with delicate strokes. Something about it pulled him closer. It was subtle but powerful, almost like a memory from long ago calling him forward. He stepped inside. The air was cool and filled with a quiet stillness. Paintings covered the walls. Some were bright and bold. Others were gentle and silent. Each one carried emotion that felt honest and raw. He walked slowly, studying the textures and colors. As he moved, his eyes landed on a piece that made his heartbeat shift. The painting was soft and calm, with light tones that blended like a quiet whisper. There was meaning inside the brushwork that he recognized even before he saw the signature at the bottom corner. Two simple letters. A G. Alexandra Grant. He froze for a moment, not from shock and not from fear. It was something deeper, a kind of quiet recognition that moved straight into his chest. He had not seen that signature in a long time, yet the familiarity rushed through him like a gentle echo from another time in his life. He stepped closer. The painting felt warm, tender, thoughtful, the kind of art that revealed emotion without saying it directly. He stood there for a long moment, lost inside the layers of color. A soft memory rose in him, the sound of laughter, quiet conversations. Hours spent exploring ideas, days filled with comfortable silence that needed no explanation. He wondered how she was. He wondered if she was still painting with the same heart. And he wondered why, out of all places and all moments, he was standing right in front of her work on a day he never planned to be here. As he continued looking at the painting, the door behind him opened softly. He did not turn at first. He kept his eyes on the artwork. But then he heard slow footsteps entering the gallery, footsteps that felt familiar without needing confirmation. He turned gently, and there she was. Alexandra walked inside with a small box of supplies in her hands. Her hair was softly tied back, and her expression was calm until her eyes lifted and met his. For a moment, everything in the room became still. She did not drop the box, but her grip tightened ever so slightly. He could see her breath catch in her chest. Their eyes locked in a quiet moment filled with years of unspoken memories, the kind that had never been erased, the kind that had simply settled in a peaceful corner of the heart. She took a slow breath and whispered his name, not with surprise, but with a soft, emotional weight. Keanu replied with her name just as gently, almost like the sound of something rediscovered. Neither expected this meeting, neither planned it, neither understood how they ended up in the same room on the same day after so many years of walking their own paths. Yet the moment did not feel forced or strange. It felt natural, almost meant to be. Alexandra set her box down carefully and walked toward him. Her expression carried calm respect mixed with curiosity. She asked him softly, "What brings you here?" He smiled in a warm but surprised way and replied, "I think I was guided here by accident. Or maybe it was not an accident." She looked at the painting he had been studying, and when she spoke again, her voice held a deep emotion. "I finished this piece only a few days ago. I was not sure if it was ready. I was not sure if anyone would understand it." He looked at her with a calm sincerity he was known for and said, "I understand it. I really do. It feels honest. It feels like you." Her eyes softened in a way he had not seen for a long time, a mix of appreciation and vulnerability. For a brief moment, everything felt gentle again, like two people reconnecting not from the past but from the present, not because they were supposed to meet, but because something in life simply allowed it. They both stood there in quiet understanding, unaware that this meeting was about to reveal something much deeper and much more meaningful than either of them imagined. The quiet inside the gallery felt almost unreal as Keanu and Alexandra stood facing each other. There was no noise from the street, no footsteps, no echo of voices, only a soft stillness that held every unspoken feeling between them. It was the kind of silence that did not feel empty. It felt full, like it carried something delicate that needed time to unfold. Alexandra moved a little closer to the painting that had drawn Keanu in. She looked at it with slow, thoughtful eyes while speaking in a gentle voice. She said, "This one was harder to finish than I expected. Every time I tried to complete it, something inside me hesitated. I did not know why. I thought maybe I was trying to avoid a feeling I did not want to face." Keanu listened with full attention. He did not interrupt her. He simply stood beside her, hands relaxed, eyes calm, giving her the space to speak honestly. That was something people always admired in him. He listened without judgment. He listened like someone who genuinely cared. Alexandra continued in a soft tone. She said, "Sometimes I feel like my art tries to tell me something before I understand it myself. This piece felt unfinished for a long time. I kept returning to it during quiet nights. Whenever I added a small stroke here or a soft shade there, I kept thinking about people who leave gentle marks in our lives even when they are far away." Her words touched something inside Keanu. He felt a small ache in his chest, but it was not painful. It was familiar. He looked at the painting again and realized what made it feel so warm. It carried the same emotional softness he remembered from her earlier works, but deeper and more mature. It reflected her growth and the quiet resilience she had built over the years. With a quiet breath, he said, "I think that is why it feels so alive. Some art is painted with skill, but some art is painted with truth. This one feels like the second kind." Alexandra turned her head slightly to look at him. Her expression softened in gratitude. She said, "You always understood the way I painted. Not many people did. But you saw the emotion inside the work more clearly than the colors themselves. I never forgot that." For a moment, her words hung in the air between them. Not heavy, not awkward, just honest. Keanu looked around the gallery slowly. It felt peaceful, but something inside him sensed that this meeting was not just coincidence. It felt too precise, too perfectly timed, almost like the world had decided that this moment needed to happen. He asked her gently, "When did you move your exhibition to today? I thought it was supposed to start next week." She gave a small, uncertain smile. "It was. The gallery owner called me this morning and asked if we could prepare everything sooner. He said he needed to open it for a few hours today. He would not explain why. He just sounded stressed and kept saying it was important." Keanu absorbed her words carefully. The schedule change for her exhibition, the sudden malfunction in his navigation system, the delivery truck blocking the road at the exact spot where the gallery stood. The timing felt almost like a chain of small nudges leading them to the same place. He pushed the thought aside for a moment. He did not want to jump to conclusions. Instead, he focused on the present. Alexandra placed her hands on the small table beside her and took a slow breath. She looked around the gallery as if seeing it through his eyes. She asked quietly, "How have you been?" I have not seen you in so long. You seem calmer than before, more settled. He smiled gently. I think life teaches calmness when it needs to. I have been trying to focus on simple things, helping small communities, spending time in quieter places, keeping close to people who inspire kindness. It has helped me stay grounded. She nodded with a warm expression. That sounds peaceful. I always admired that about you. You never chased loud attention. You always chose quiet honesty. Keanu looked down for a moment, touched by her sincerity. He said, "Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. You always brought clarity to people around you, even when you did not realize it." Her eyes lowered slightly. She whispered, "Maybe that is what I forgot for a while. I spent years painting in isolation. I felt like I was losing connection with the world, like I was painting inside a room full of my own echoes." Keanu stepped a little closer, not invading her space but offering steady presence. He spoke softly. Each person has times when they turn inward. It does not mean they are lost. It means they are finding new strength. Your work shows that. It reflects change, growth, healing. She listened to him with quiet emotion. She felt something in his voice she had missed, a steady warmth that made people feel safe. For a moment it felt like time had folded gently around them, not pushing them back into the past, but reminding them that some bonds do not disappear. They simply wait. Then Alexandra noticed something. She looked at the painting again and saw a small tag with the gallery number on it. The number seemed wrong. She frowned and said softly, "This label is not supposed to be here. This piece is from my private collection. It was not meant to be displayed yet. I never gave permission for it to hang today." Keanu raised his eyebrows slightly. He did not speak, but the confusion in his expression showed he was thinking the same thing she was thinking. Why was a piece she never planned to display suddenly placed at the entrance? And why did the gallery owner insist on rushing her exhibition with no explanation? Alexandra walked to the front desk to check the list of displayed items. The paper was neatly arranged, but a small handwritten note rested on top. She picked it up slowly. The handwriting was familiar, delicate but expressive. Keanu noticed the change in her breathing as she read the first line. He stepped closer and asked quietly, "Is something wrong?" She looked up with wide eyes filled with surprise. She handed him the note without saying a word. He read it slowly. The message said, "Please show this painting today. Trust me. Someone important might walk in. A quiet meeting can sometimes heal unseen places." There was no signature, only two small initials at the bottom. SB. Keanu felt his chest tighten for a moment. The initials were clear, unmistakable. He whispered softly, "Sandra." Alexandra nodded silently. She felt the same disbelief mixed with warmth. Sandra had always been the one person who understood both of them. She noticed things that others missed. She offered guidance without pushing. She was the quiet force that kept friendships gentle and meaningful. Keanu held the note for a few seconds. His thoughts moved slowly as a new layer of the situation unfolded in his mind. The malfunction in his navigation, the early exhibition opening, the specific painting being displayed. Each coincidence began to feel less random. Alexandra looked at him with a soft, trembling voice and said, "I think she wanted us to meet again. But why today? Why like this?" Keanu exhaled deeply. He did not know the answer yet, but something inside him whispered that this day was not finished, that something more was waiting to unfold, something gentle but important. He placed the note carefully back on the desk. He turned toward Alexandra with a calm, steady expression and said, "Maybe we are meant to find that answer together." She looked into his eyes. She felt a mix of fear and hope, but most of all she felt a quiet trust she had not felt in years. And somewhere deep inside both of them, a single thought began forming. This meeting was not an accident. It was the beginning of something they could not yet see. The gallery felt different now. The silence was no longer calm. It carried a quiet tension that neither of them could ignore. Keanu and Alexandra stood near the desk, both holding the weight of the unseen message Sandra had left behind. It was gentle yet powerful, almost like a whisper from someone who understood them more than they understood themselves. Alexandra held her arms lightly against her chest as she took a few steps toward the center of the room. She looked at each painting with new eyes. It felt strange knowing that Sandra had arranged this moment without telling either of them. It felt thoughtful but mysterious. She wondered what Sandra had noticed or sensed that made her believe this meeting needed to happen now. Keanu stayed quiet for a moment, trying to gather his thoughts. He had always trusted Sandra's instinct. She had a way of seeing emotional threads inside people even when those threads were tangled or hidden. She never interfered in a loud way. She always moved with kindness. But arranging a moment like this meant she believed something important was unfinished. As he watched Alexandra walk between the paintings, he felt a gentle ache of memory rise inside him. He remembered a time when they used to visit galleries together. They would walk slowly and discuss colors, textures, emotions, and ideas about how art reflected the human heart. Those moments were simple but meaningful. They had carried honesty and comfort. He had missed that feeling without realizing how much. Alexandra turned toward him with a thoughtful expression. She said quietly, "Sandra always paid attention to things I tried to hide. She could read my silence better than my words. Maybe she saw something I did not see in myself. Maybe she still does." Keanu nodded with a soft understanding. He said Sandra always believed that people who care for each other leave invisible marks. Even if they take separate paths, the marks remain. Maybe she thought we needed a moment to see what those marks became. Alexandra let out a small breath. It was not a tired breath, but a reflective one. She walked back toward the painting at the entrance, the one with her initials. She studied it again, this time with a deeper awareness. She spoke slowly, almost like she was confessing something she had never said aloud. She said, "When I painted this, I felt something unfinished inside me. I did not know what it meant. Now that I see you here, the feeling makes more sense." Keanu listened carefully. He did not move closer because he sensed she needed space to express her thoughts. She placed her fingertips gently on the frame. She continued, "I think this painting was trying to speak to me. It felt like a part of my past that I never resolved, not in a painful way, but in a quiet way, like a soft voice asking to be heard." He stepped closer with a gentle steadiness. He said, "Sometimes the heart understands something long before the mind does. Maybe your art felt the truth before you had words for it." She looked up at him, and her eyes carried a soft vulnerability. She whispered, "Do you ever feel that way? Like something from your past still lives inside you even when you think you have moved on?" He took a slow breath before answering, "Yes, I feel that sometimes. Life moves forward, but certain moments stay with us. They shape us even when we do not notice it. Some memories remain awake inside us. Others sleep quietly but never disappear." Her expression softened. She felt comfort in his words. A calm warmth spread through her chest. It had been a long time since she had spoken so openly to anyone, especially him. She realized how easily she fell back into this gentle rhythm with him, a rhythm built on trust and respect, not on expectation. Keanu moved to stand beside her in front of the painting. They stood close enough to feel each other's presence but still left space between them. It was a delicate balance, one they both understood without needing to speak. After a moment, Alexandra asked, "Did you ever wonder what might happen if certain moments from the past returned unexpectedly?" He looked at the painting and spoke with quiet honesty. "Yes, but I believe that if something returns, it returns for a reason. Maybe to heal, maybe to remind, maybe to show a path we did not see before." Her eyes glistened with a soft shine. She felt her heart open slowly, like a locked door she had forgotten about. The truth was, she had missed their connection, not as romance, not as something dramatic, but as a friendship that carried depth and sincerity, something rare and comforting. Before she could respond, the quiet of the gallery shifted. The front door opened again. Slow footsteps entered the space. Alexandra and Keanu turned their heads toward the entrance. The gallery owner walked in, holding a large folder under his arm. His face looked slightly tense, like he had been rushing or worrying about something. He did not notice them at first. He went straight to the counter and placed the folder down with a tired breath. Alexandra approached him with curiosity. She asked softly, "Is everything all right? You seemed very stressed this morning when you asked me to open the exhibition early." The gallery owner looked up and finally saw both of them standing there. His expression changed completely. He looked relieved in a strange way, almost emotional. He stepped closer and said, "I am sorry if everything felt rushed. There was a reason behind it. I could not explain it earlier because the message was private, but I think you deserve to know now." Keanu sensed the seriousness in the man's voice. Alexandra stood still, waiting for him to continue. The gallery owner opened the folder and pulled out another envelope. It was neatly sealed and had a familiar handwriting on it. Alexandra's breath caught in her chest the moment she saw the writing. She whispered softly, "This is from Sandra too, isn't it?" The owner nodded gently. Yes, she delivered it herself 2 days ago. She told me that this exhibition needed to open today, not tomorrow. She said that something important had to happen here and that I had to trust her judgment. Keanu stepped forward with a calm intensity. He asked in a soft voice, why did she not tell us? Why did she choose to send messages instead of speaking directly? The gallery owner hesitated for a moment before answering, because she said that if the meeting happened naturally, it would carry more meaning. She believed you two needed to find each other without planning it. Alexandra's eyes softened in disbelief. There was a trembling warmth inside her chest. She wondered how deeply Sandra had understood them and why she cared this much. The owner handed the envelope to Alexandra with care. She held it gently, almost afraid to open it. Her fingers trembled slightly. Keanu stepped closer, offering silent support without touching her. Finally, she opened it. Inside was a letter written in Sandra's gentle and expressive handwriting. Alexandra unfolded it slowly. Her eyes moved across the lines with increasing emotion. Keanu watched her carefully, noticing the way her breathing changed. She read the letter aloud in a soft voice. The letter said, "Sometimes life separates people so they can grow. Sometimes it brings them back so they can understand that growth. You both walked away with respect and kindness. Now you both carry a quiet strength that you need to see in each other. I hope this meeting reminds you that healing is not always loud. Some healing happens in silence when hearts are ready." Alexandra paused. Her voice shook slightly. She pressed a hand gently against her chest and took a slow breath before continuing. The letter ended with, "I did not bring you together to change the past. I brought you together so you can see the person you have become through it. This moment belongs to both of you. Let it guide you gently." Their eyes lifted from the letter at the same time. Something powerful shifted inside the room. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, but deep and real, something they could not deny. And in that moment, Keanu realized something. This meeting was not only about reconnecting. It was about understanding who they had become because of each other. The answer they were searching for had only started revealing itself. The air inside the gallery grew heavier, not with fear but with meaning. Keanu and Alexandra stood close together as the last words of Sandra's letter settled quietly into their hearts. Each sentence felt like a soft mirror reflecting back pieces of themselves they had not looked at in years. The emotional weight was quiet but strong. Alexandra folded the letter slowly, almost as if she feared breaking the calm around them. The gallery owner stepped back respectfully, giving them space without saying another word. He understood that this moment was not his to shape. He simply returned to his desk and pretended to organize papers while keeping a careful distance. Keanu turned toward Alexandra. Her face carried a mixture of surprise, warmth, confusion, and a deep tenderness that made him pause. She looked like someone trying to understand a truth she never expected to face. He spoke gently, his voice soft enough to avoid breaking the delicate stillness. He said Sandra always understood people better than they understood themselves. She saw things we did not see. Alexandra nodded slowly. She held the letter against her chest and let out a quiet breath. She said, "I feel like she knew something I did not want to admit, not because I was avoiding it, but because I never thought it mattered anymore. And now that I am here with you, I can feel something waking up that I thought had gone silent." Keanu listened without interrupting. He sensed that she was stepping into a place inside herself that had remained untouched for a long time. He wanted her to take her time. He knew that honesty arrived gently, not with force. She walked slowly to a bench near the window and sat down. Sunlight fell softly across her face. It made her look calm yet vulnerable. She looked up at him with quiet eyes and asked, "Do you think people change because of the past, or do they change because of what they carry from the past?" He sat beside her with a slow, thoughtful movement. He kept a respectful distance, not too close and not too far. He replied, "I think people change through both. The past leaves marks. Some are gentle and some are painful, but the marks do not shape us alone. The way we carry them is what defines us." She looked at him deeply, feeling the truth in his words. She said quietly, "I carried silence for a long time. I kept telling myself that I was fine, that certain memories belonged behind closed doors. But now that I am sitting here with you, I can feel everything I locked away, not in a painful way, in a clear way." Her fingers traced the edge of the letter unconsciously. She kept her eyes on him as if searching for strength in his presence. Keanu took a slow breath and replied, "Sometimes silence protects us. Sometimes it hides things until we are strong enough to face them. And sometimes it gives us time to understand ourselves before we understand someone else." She lowered her gaze slightly. She whispered, "You were important to me in ways I never spoke about. And when life moved us in different directions, I told myself that everything had ended peacefully. But deep inside, I always wondered if some part of that silence needed to be healed." Keanu's heart tightened in a gentle way, not with sadness but with recognition. He understood exactly what she meant. He said softly, "You were important to me too, more than you realized. I respected every step you took, even when it led away from me, and I never felt anger or regret. But yes, some things remained quiet between us, maybe too quiet." Alexandra breathed in slowly, letting his words settle. The sunlight through the window warmed her shoulder. She felt grounded but also exposed. She was not afraid. She was simply honest. She said, "I think Sandra knew that. She always sensed unfinished emotions inside people. She would never push us together without a reason. She must have felt something still living quietly between us." Keanu nodded. His voice was calm but carried depth. "Yes, and she believed that we needed to see it for ourselves, not through her words. That is why she created this moment instead of telling us directly." For a moment they both sat in silence, not because they had nothing to say, but because they were finally feeling everything they had avoided. There was a softness in the quiet, a clarity that had been missing for years. Alexandra lifted the letter again and read a specific line silently. Her eyes softened even more. She whispered she wanted us to see who we have become through the years. She wanted us to look at each other with the strength we gained, not the fear we once carried. Keanu slowly leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, his hands together. He spoke in a reflective tone. "I changed a lot through the years. There were times I felt lost, times I felt tired. But kindness always brought me back to myself. Meeting people with sincerity helped me stay grounded. And now that I am sitting here with you, I can feel the same calm I used to feel around you. A calm I thought had faded." She turned her head and studied his face carefully. The lines of his expression carried tiredness but also peace. She felt her chest warm with a gentle ache. She said softly, "I remember that calm. It always made me feel seen, not in a dramatic way, in a human way. I think I missed that more than I admitted." Keanu looked at her with steady eyes. There was no rush in his gaze, only quiet understanding. He said, "Maybe that is what Sandra wanted us to rediscover. Not anything romantic, not anything complicated. Just the connection of two people who once shared something meaningful and still carry respect for each other." Alexandra nodded. She did not speak for a moment. She let the honesty settle inside her like warm light. Then her voice returned with gentle strength. She asked him, "Do you think we can still understand each other the way we once did?" He took a slow breath before answering. "Yes, but differently. Not from who we were back then, but from who we are now, and who we are now is shaped by everything we have learned, every step, every mistake, every moment of growth." Her eyes softened. She felt his words reach the deepest part of her. She placed the letter on the bench beside her and held her hands together in her lap. She said, "I feel like I am seeing you again for the first time, not as the person I knew, but as the person you became." He smiled gently, "And I feel the same. Seeing you now feels like discovering a new chapter in a book I once loved but never finished." Their eyes stayed on each other for a long, quiet moment. No fear, no confusion, only recognition. Then something unexpected happened. A soft, buzzing sound came from Alexandra's phone inside her bag. She reached for it, thinking it might be a normal message. But when she looked at the screen, her eyes widened. Keanu noticed the change in her expression. He asked softly, "Is everything all right?" She swallowed slowly and shook her head. Her voice trembled slightly as she said, "This is strange. I just got a message from Sandra, but the phone says the message was sent 3 days ago. It never arrived until now." Keanu felt his heart shift. He leaned closer gently. "What does it say?" Alexandra opened the message with slow, shaking hands. She read it silently first, her breath catching in her chest. She felt a wave of emotion rise through her entire body. Then she whispered softly, "You need to hear this." Her voice trembled as she read the message aloud. The message said, "You will not understand this now, but one day soon you will be in the right place, at the right moment, with the right person beside you. Trust that moment. It carries something very important for both of you. Keanu's breath stilled. The message felt like a quiet echo of the letter and the entire day. He looked at Alexandra with slow realization. She whispered to him with a trembling voice, Keanu. She knew every part of today before it happened. He felt the truth settle deeply inside him, not with fear but with awe and gratitude. Something much bigger than coincidence was unfolding, and neither of them knew where it was leading yet. The moment Alexandra finished reading the message, the entire gallery felt different. The silence around them was no longer calm or heavy. It carried purpose. It felt like something unseen had been guiding this day from the beginning. Keanu looked at Alexandra and saw the quiet shock in her eyes. Not fear, not confusion, just deep understanding. She slowly lowered her phone and whispered, "I do not think this is about the past. I think this is about something we needed to learn today. Something Sandra saw before we did." Keanu nodded gently. His voice was soft but steady when he spoke. He said Sandra always believed that the right people meet when they are ready. Maybe she felt we were ready now, ready to understand things we did not know how to face before. Alexandra sat back on the bench, her hands resting softly on her knees. She felt calmer now, almost peaceful, as if the pieces of the day were finally beginning to fit together. She said, "I think she wanted us to see each other with new eyes, not as the people we were, but as the people we became." Keanu stepped closer and sat beside her. He kept the same respectful distance as before. His presence felt steady and warm, grounding the moment. He said, "I feel that too, and maybe it was time to rediscover the quiet respect we always had. Time to heal whatever silence we carried." Alexandra looked at him slowly. Her eyes softened in a way that carried truth. She said, "I am glad you walked into this gallery today. I am glad everything led you here, even if it was not planned." Keanu smiled gently. He replied, "Maybe it was planned by something bigger than us, or maybe Sandra simply understood the path before we did." They both shared a soft, quiet laugh at the same time. It was not a loud laugh. It was a warm one, the kind of laugh that comes from two people rediscovering peace in each other's presence. After a moment, Alexandra looked at the painting again. She said, "This piece never felt complete until now. Now I understand why. It needed this moment to finish its story." Keanu studied the painting and nodded. He said, "And maybe we needed this moment to finish a small story inside ourselves." Alexandra felt a calm rise in her chest. She gently placed her hand over the letter Sandra had written. Her voice carried a quiet gratitude when she spoke. She said she gave us a gift without telling us. She gave us a chance to reconnect without the weight of old memories. She gave us a moment to see each other clearly again. Keanu looked at her with sincere eyes. Yes, she gave us something rare, a gentle reminder that kindness stays alive even after years of silence. They sat quietly for a few more seconds, letting the truth sink in. Then Alexandra stood up slowly and said in a soft voice, "I think we should thank her, not with words, but by living this moment with honesty." Keanu rose beside her with the same calm energy. He replied, "That sounds right. She wanted us to understand, not to question. I think we already understand." And as they looked around the gallery one last time, something inside both of them settled quietly. They were no longer carrying unanswered silence. They were carrying clarity. The gallery felt softer now, almost like it was breathing with them. Keanu and Alexandra stood in the center of the room, surrounded by quiet art, gentle sunlight, and the lingering warmth of Sandra's messages. Everything that had felt confusing earlier now felt clear. The day had unfolded with purpose, one small moment leading into another until both of them reached a place they never expected. Alexandra slowly walked toward the painting at the entrance again. She stood in front of it for a long moment, her breathing steady and calm. The colors seemed different now, brighter and more alive, almost as if the painting itself had been waiting for this moment too. She touched the frame lightly and whispered, "I think this is the first time I truly understand what I painted." Keanu stepped beside her. His presence was steady, warm, and patient. He asked softly, "What do you understand now?" She kept her eyes on the artwork and said, "This painting came from a place inside me that felt unfinished. I could not explain it. I could not name it. It was a quiet feeling that stayed with me for years. I thought it was sadness. I thought it was regret. But now I see it was something else. It was a memory that needed peace." Keanu listened with full attention. He let her speak without rushing her. She continued in a gentle voice, I think Sandra wanted us to finish this memory. Not by going back to the past, but by seeing each other clearly in the present. By realizing that respect and kindness can continue even when life changes paths. He nodded slowly. He said she always believed in quiet healing. Maybe she knew that meeting again would not reopen wounds. It would close them gently. Alexandra turned toward him. Her expression was full of sincerity. She said, I am grateful for this moment, not because it brings anything back, but because it gives everything a meaning. I feel lighter. I feel whole. And I feel thankful for the part you played in my life without even knowing it. Keanu felt a gentle warmth rise in his chest. He replied, you brought light into my life too. You inspired kindness in quiet ways. Even when we walked different paths, the respect stayed. And today reminded me that some connections remain soft and steady no matter how much time passes. A calm silence surrounded them. It was not the silence of distance. It was the silence of understanding, a silence that carried peace. The gallery owner approached them slowly. He looked relieved and touched by the soft atmosphere around them. He said, thank you both for being here today. I feel like this moment was meant to happen. I am honored that this gallery became the place for it. Alexandra smiled gently. She replied, thank you for trusting Sandra's request. If you had refused or questioned it, this moment would not have happened. The owner nodded. He said her words felt important. I could not ignore them. Keanu placed a warm hand on the owner's shoulder in appreciation. Then he turned back to Alexandra and spoke softly, should we step outside for a moment? The day looks peaceful. She nodded. Her smile was calm and filled with quiet clarity. They walked toward the door together. When they stepped outside, the city felt warm and gentle. The light wind moved softly across the street. People walked slowly. Everything looked simple and real. Keanu and Alexandra stood side by side, taking a slow breath at the same time. She looked at him and said, I think this meeting was never about changing anything between us. It was about understanding that some people help us grow even after they are no longer part of our everyday lives. Keanu nodded with a peaceful expression. Yes, and about remembering that kindness always stays, even when time moves forward. They began walking down the sidewalk together, not holding hands, not walking too close, just walking with quiet respect like two people who had rediscovered something gentle inside themselves. After a few steps, Alexandra spoke again with a soft, reflective tone. I hope Sandra knows what she gave us today. I hope she knows that her kindness shaped this moment in the most beautiful way. Keanu smiled softly and replied, she knows. She always knows. Her heart sees what others miss, and I think she wanted us to carry this moment with gratitude, not questions. Alexandra nodded. Her heart felt warm, steady, and healed in ways she never expected. She said, thank you for being here today. Thank you for understanding the silence I carried. Keanu stopped walking for a moment. He looked at her with deep sincerity and said, thank you for letting me be part of this moment. Thank you for sharing your truth. It means more than you know. A soft breeze passed between them. The day felt brighter, lighter, calmer. They continued walking together quietly until the gallery door faded behind them. Nothing dramatic happened. Nothing loud. Only two people moving forward with peaceful hearts, carrying the gift of understanding that Sandra had quietly prepared for them. Their paths had crossed unexpectedly, but the meaning they found in that moment would stay with them forever.